Hey guys. Hello. Hi. All right. So I put together a really awesome presentation for you guys today. We're going to be kind of digging in and working together on your business idea, taking it and talking about the things you need to know in order to bring it to life. So before we get started, or as we're kind of warming up, I would love if you could introduce yourself into the chat. We've got this awkward setup where you can see me, but I can't see you. And so it would be helpful if I could just know who you are, because I'm going to be directly helping you with your business today, and it'll be helpful to know who you are. So do exactly what Daria did. So Daria is in Orlando. Oh, Daria, also tell us what you do for work. Rodney is in Detroit and is a chef. Awesome. Kareem is in Michigan and is a nurse. Stan is from California. Very cool. Stan, what do you do for work? Awesome. Okay, introduce yourself into the chat. Let's see who else we have. Ron is in computer tech and is from Northwest Indiana. Very cool. Hey, Ron. Rose is in real estate and also a life health agent and is in Long Beach, California. Oh, I love it. I grew up in Southern California, so I love that. I grew up in Southern California, but I live in Chicago now. Very cool. Okay. Dee is a broker in Fort Lauderdale. Very cool. Stay, where'd you go? It's in Cleveland. Awesome. Very cool. Okay. So keep introducing yourselves in the chat like that. Tell me your name, city, and profession so I can get to know you. Okay. Brianna is in Atlanta. You own a sales and business consulting firm for Black-owned businesses. Very cool. Very cool. Is it Tamika or Renea? Which one? Is in Birmingham and is a court liaison. Very cool. Ricardo is in New Haven and is a web developer. Perfect. So introduce yourself into the chat if you have not already. While you're doing that, I'm going to share my screen. So it takes a second to show up. Let me know when you can see my screen, full screen. Give it a second. Let me know when you can see it. Okay. All right. Nikki is in Raleigh, North Carolina, and is a software developer. Very cool. Quentin works in U.S. Navy Clean Energy Engineering. Very cool. Awesome. Star's from Toronto. Hey, Star. Okay, let me know when you can see my screen, full screen, and then we can get started. Okay, you can see it? Perfect. Okay, good. Cool. All right. So obviously we're here to talk about how to go from idea to income in 60 days. Like how to take this app idea that you have had. Some of you guys have had your app idea for a while and come up with an app idea, build it without any tech people or without hiring a bunch of extra people to help you. They're going to be expensive, and charge people money to use your app. That's what we're talking about today. So I want to welcome you. I'm super excited that you are here. I'm going to be teaching you a ton of stuff. This is going to be jam-packed back to back with things for you to know that you can use and implement immediately for your app idea. Cool. Okay. So I got a chance to talk to a lot of you guys before the workshop. A lot of you guys sent me emails or reached out. And so what I know is that everybody is kind of coming to this workshop from a different perspective. Some of you guys are working a 9-to-5 job now, but you're hoping that in 2019, you can take some more control over your own earning potential. Meaning that like your job said that this is how much you can make, but like, why do they get to say how much you can make? How come you can't make more than that, right? So I talked to a lot of people who are looking to take control over their earning potential in 2019. Or maybe you came to this workshop because you want to have a little bit more resilience in this economy, right? Like you don't want to be affected by layoffs or government shutdowns. If you're in the US, you know a little bit about this lately. Or the economy changing, right? You want to have something that is consistently bringing you income and giving you financial stability regardless of all those things, right? And some of you guys told me that you have been stalling on your app idea for weeks, some of you guys months, and some of you guys years. Let me know in the chat if you have had your app idea for weeks, months, or years, right? It's just been a little while. It's been on your mind for a while, right? So for some of you guys, you came to this workshop today because you've been stalling on your app idea and you want to get going with it, right? Now, I know some of you guys do not have an app idea yet, right? You like the idea of launching an app business, but you don't currently have an app idea. And you're here today in this workshop because you want help coming up with a strong idea. Let me know if that's you in the chat. Jeremy says years. Sunday says for years now. Yeah. Amicia says weeks. Got it. Sherelle says years. By the way, if I pronounce your name incorrectly, just let me know. Just let me know. Cindy's new to this. Got it. Got it. Brianna says, it's been years. I had an app, but I need to redevelop it. Got it. Probably without paying people over and over again to redevelop it. Okay. Now, I know some of you guys have an app idea already. Like you already have an app idea, but you're not sure how it's going to make real income for you. You're trying to figure out how it's actually going to pay your bills, right? And for some of you guys, you are already entrepreneurs. This is not your first time at the entrepreneurship rodeo. However, you're not quite as successful as you want to be, right? So you're looking for how do I get to this next level with my entrepreneurship. But I know that almost everyone here, almost everyone that I've talked to that's attending this workshop wants to find a way to work less, to travel more, and to do it on your own terms, right? For some of you guys, that means creating a side hustle, right? Something that's on the side of your existing job. And for some of you guys, you want to transition and just like, forget this whole job thing. I want to do this. I want to be an entrepreneur full time, right? And so if any of those things apply to you, if any of those things that I mentioned resonate with you, I want you to know that you are in the right place. You're in the right place where this workshop is going to be really good for you. Cool. Okay, so I like to be super, super transparent upfront from the beginning about what my goal is for this masterclass. So I have a couple goals that I want to share with you. My goal for this class is to work with you, work directly with you, to build a plan for creating your side hustle. It could eventually be a full-time hustle, but creating a side hustle to start that's going to bring in some additional income to cushion you in 2019. That's one of my goals, right? So figuring out how to get you some additional income to cushion you in 2019. Also, my second goal is to help you take your existing knowledge, not stuff that you have to go learn or that you don't know yet, but stuff that you already know, your existing knowledge and expertise, and turn it into an app idea that you can charge people to use, right? You don't have to go learn a bunch of new stuff. You can take your existing knowledge and expertise. And then finally, I want to show you a specific method that you can use to avoid spending $20,000 trying to hire someone to build your app for you, or spending a whole year trying to like learn about app programming and figure out how to build it yourself. You can skip all of that stuff. And I'm going to show you this specific process that you can use. Yeah, and I see it in the chat. Vincent says, I'm a developer with some app ideas. So Vincent, you make apps, right? But it's sometimes difficult to get it rolling or get started. And you know how much time it takes to actually code an app. So I actually work with a lot of people who can make apps. They have the ability to make apps themselves, but they use this method that I'm going to teach you today in order to get started faster, right? So I want to introduce myself really quickly. Some of us have met before, but for some of you guys, you're thinking, wait a minute, who is this lady? I haven't met this person before. Who is this? So I want to introduce myself really quickly. My name is Tara Reed, and I am a tech entrepreneur. Before becoming an entrepreneur, I used to lead marketing initiatives at Google, Foursquare, and Microsoft. So my background is in tech and has been in tech. However, I was not a person who was building the app myself. I was working with those people on the business side and on the marketing side, right? And so in 2014, I founded a really successful art startup, and I built the company's app and algorithm without writing any code. And so this process, the process I'm going to teach you today, this process of coming up with app ideas, building them without any tech people, and then charging people to use the app that I've built got me in my first year of entrepreneurship, $150,000 in revenue, and also a $300,000 investment from top accelerators and top investors who said, I love what you're working on. Here's some money. I want to see you take this to the next level, right? Randall says, you have my attention. Oh, I'm glad. Cool. We're going to have fun in this workshop. So I've been really blessed to be featured in some awesome publications. Last year, Entrepreneur Magazine featured me in their Young Millionaires edition. Forbes has written some really fun articles on how to succeed in Silicon Valley when you don't look like Mark Zuckerberg. And I've also done a TED Talk. Some of you guys have seen this already that has over 200,000 views now on how to build apps without code. But I want to be really transparent in saying that I did not start out this way. In terms of like day one, having lots of success and press as an entrepreneur, I did not start that way. My first day as an entrepreneur, I started when I was working a 9-to-5 job. So much like a lot of you guys, I was working a comfortable job. My job wasn't amazing and it wasn't terrible. It was just like, okay, but I definitely didn't love it. I couldn't say that I loved it, right? And I was working at Microsoft at the time, and I wanted to build my own app business though. I wanted to build my own app business so I wouldn't have to spend the rest of my life working for someone else's dream, right? Specifically working for, Bill Gates' dream instead of mine, right? And so I wanted to do a bunch of things with my entrepreneurship. I wanted to pay off my student loans. I wanted to work less. I wanted to travel more, and I wanted to not have to worry or be thinking about money all the time. And I also wanted to have some sort of shot at retiring early. So like those were all the things that were swirling around in my head that I was thinking about at the time. But the problem was that I had a bunch of issues. I kept hitting a bunch of roadblocks and getting stuck, right? So the first thing that was getting me stuck was that I didn't have $20,000 to hire someone to build my app idea. Like I just didn't have $20,000 to pay someone, right? That was the first issue that I had. That's how much it costs, by the way, to have someone build an app for you. It usually starts about $20,000. I just didn't have that. Also, I had this other roadblock. Somebody says, yep, in the chat, you know all about this. Some of you guys know about these roadblocks. You can let me know if you've encountered any of these yourself, right? The other issue that I had was I didn't have 1 to 2 years that I could just spend learning how to code. Like I just didn't have that amount of time to develop that skill set before I even started on my app idea, right? And the third thing that was an issue for me was I couldn't find the right tech-savvy business partner. I kept trying to meet people, going to meetups, looking on my LinkedIn, trying to find someone to help me. And the challenge was I couldn't find the right person that I trusted or wanted to work with. And so I knew that if I took too long, I kept taking so long on this app idea, someone else was going to launch it first, right? Someone else was going to beat me to it. And also, I was starting to feel like a failure because it was taking me so doggone long to get started with this app idea. I was getting frustrated. And so in the middle of all of this, right, I have this idea, I'm starting to work on it, but I'm hitting all these roadblocks. In the middle of all of this, something even worse happened. Microsoft laid off 80,000 people, and I was one of them. So I had no way to pay my bills. I ended up having to move to Detroit to live with my best friend because I just didn't have a job anymore. And I was totally embarrassed. It actually took me a couple months to actually tell my friends that I had lost my job because I was embarrassed about it. Just telling you guys, Alex is talking the truth. Yeah, this was my story and my truth, right? And so what I did after hitting all of those roadblocks was I said, okay, listen, I'm done being stuck. I'm done with it. And so what I did was I taught myself this process that I'm going to teach to you this evening on how to build apps yourself without any code to get a lot faster from A to Z and actually get an idea out there into the public and with users, right? So I taught myself the basics of how to build an app without code. And the first app that I built, the first version of the app that I built, got me my first $35,000 in sales and got me a $100,000 investment from 500 startups, the top tech accelerator in Silicon Valley. And all of this happened in just a couple months, right? Just a couple months, all of this happened. So I started blogging about my journey building apps without code. I did a TED Talk, which some of you guys said you've seen, that has over 200,000 views now on building apps without code. And I started coaching other entrepreneurs. So I coached an entrepreneur named Josh who had an idea for an app to help schools. It was an education app. And he now has, after working with me, 23 schools who have written him a check in order to use his app, right? And I worked with another entrepreneur named Patrick who had an idea for an app to help assembly lines and manufacturing plants become more efficient. And who became his first customer after I helped him get it off the ground? Who was his first customer? His first customer was Coca-Cola, who wrote him a check and said, great, I love the app you built. We want to use it in our facilities, right? So overall, I've helped entrepreneurs generate over $1 million in app launch revenue. So how does all of this apply to you? Why am I telling you this? What the heck does this have to do with you? Well, first of all, you also have an idea of becoming an entrepreneur. That's why you're here, right? You also cannot rely on a 9-to-5 job for all of your stability. job security, as we hear about it and talk about it, at least in the US, like it just doesn't exist. Job security doesn't exist. Your job can decide to get rid of you at any time or to restructure or to change their plans at any time, and you need a backup plan. You just do. You also are already 100% qualified to build your own app. I'm going to show you more about that. You may think that you don't know enough yet, but you totally do. I'm going to show you how that works. And you can also take your existing passions and interests and turn them into an app business. Cool? Make sense? So how did I go from getting laid off from my job to building $1 million tech empire? Like what exactly happened in between? That's what I'm going to be walking you through today. Cool? Are you ready for me to break this down? Let me know in the chat if you are ready to jump into this now. That was our little intro. We're going to jump into the meat of this. So let me know in the chat if you are ready for me to break this down and you're ready to start talking about how to build an app, how to go from idea to income, how to build an app, how to start making money from it, all that good stuff. Randall says yes. Brianna says wow. I love it. John says ready in all caps. Brenda says let's roll. I love it. I love it. Vincent says yes. Go for it. Cool. Okay. Sunday says yes with lots of S's at the end. Always says let's go. I love it. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. So here's what we're talking about. Idea to income in 60 days, how to come up with an app idea, build it without any tech people, and charge people real money to use it. Let's get it. JT says, let's get it. I love it. So here's an overview of what you're going to learn. Secret number 1, how to come up with a strong app idea in 15 minutes. How to come up with a strong app idea in 15 minutes. Secret number 2, how to build an app yourself without any tech people. Without any tech people. And secret number 3, how to charge $50 a month or more to your customers for your app idea. This is the overview of what you're going to learn. Can we jump right into it? Right into number 1? Can we get going? All right. Secret number 1, how to come up with a strong app idea in 15 minutes. Now, in order to really explain this to you, one of the things that's important for you to know is that there is a difference, a big difference between an app idea and an app business idea. Most people think that they're the same thing. They are not. An app idea, anyone can just come up with willy-nilly. An app business idea is different because coming up with an app business idea, it has a business model, it makes money, it has a whole marketing plan around it. Coming up with an app business idea requires a strategy. It's not just the app idea, it requires a whole strategy around it, right? So I want to introduce you to the SMART idea formula. And my SMART idea formula, what it is it's a series of questions that you can ask yourself in order to brainstorm a strong app idea that you're already completely qualified to build. So in order to show you how the SMART idea formula works, I'm going to give you an example. I want to introduce you to Joshua Head. Josh is an entrepreneur that I have had the pleasure of coaching, right? And so when Josh and I started working together, we sat down and the first thing that we did was we went through his SMART idea formula. And all I did was I just asked him some questions. And you can ask yourself these same questions. In fact, I'm going to ask you these questions in a second. So the first question I had for him was I said, hey, Josh, what do you do for work? He was like, okay, that's an easy question. I'm a music teacher, right? That was easy, simple. And then I had a second question for him. And I said, okay, great. Name one thing that you spend a lot of time or effort on at work. One thing you spend a lot of time or effort on at work. And he thought about it and he was like, well, I have to, in order to teach these music classes, I have to go travel to the site of a middle school in order to teach the class. I have to travel to a bunch of different middle schools. So the traveling back and forth takes a lot of time. Sometimes I wish I could be in more than one place at once, right? And then finally, I asked Josh one last question and I said, okay, great. Let's say you built an app that alleviates some of that stress. What could happen once someone logged in? And Josh had no idea what the answer to this question was. He hadn't really thought about it, but he thought about it for a moment and he was just brainstorming. And he said, okay, well, let me just brainstorm some things here. Maybe the students could log in to the portal and they could complete lessons, like music education lessons. And the students could work in teams to compose songs. They could drag and drop different elements of the song and compose a song. And the teachers could give grades on that song. And I could sell this app to the schools, right? So he was just brainstorming some of these things. And this is a true story. Josh built an app for schools to teach music classes. Since working with him on this, he has 23 schools who are customers of his. They're in the state of Virginia, who have written him a check to use his app at their schools. He's done $30,000 in revenue. He's also gotten a $50,000 investment from other people who said, I love what you're doing. I want to give you some money to see you take this to the next level. And he did all of that in just 6 months. So Josh says this app is definitely a revenue generating endeavor. I did not know it would grow as quickly as it did. We got television and radio interviews in the process. It's been a blessing. So now I want to take the SMART idea formula and turn it to you. So I'm going to have some questions for you, and I want you to get ready to type them into the chat. I want to hear your answers. Just put the answer that's the first thing that comes to mind. You don't have to overthink it. All right? So here's my first question. What do you do for work? Type into the chat and tell me what you do for work. This is the easy question. What you do for work. William says, I just got here. Sorry I'm late. No worries, William. You can jump right in. Okay, so tell me in the chat, what do you do for work? Let's start there. Let's see what answers folks have. Cool. I'm a chef. Are you accounting? Contractor. Got it. Solve computer and mobile device problems. Virtual assistant. Fitness coach. I drive. Graphic design. Operation room nurse. Got it. Music promotion. Everybody knows what they do for work. Even if you're in between jobs, you can say like looking for a job and even put that in there, right? IT professional, stay-at-home mom, librarian, stock trader. Exactly. Got it. Clear. Okay. So now I have a second question for you, and I want you to get ready to type this into the chat. My second question for you is, name something that you or your boss spends a lot of time or effort on at work. Let me know in the chat something you or your boss spends a lot of time or effort on at work. Cool. The other things you guys do: game developer, private music teacher, collection supervisor. Got it. Community development, resource teacher. Got it. So what's something that you spend a lot of time or effort on at work? Let me know in the chat. Pricing material. Takes a lot of time to pricing material. Planning for story time. Cleaning. Making products. Data query. Booking clients. Wine knowledge. Yeah, problem solving. What kind of problem solving do you mean? G says troubleshooting. Yeah, grading or editing. Being stuck in traffic. Got it. Development of footage. Finding clients. Knocking on doors. Coaching employees. Exactly. Follow-up calls for service. Great. Got it. Okay, now I have one last question for you. And my last question is, we're just going to brainstorm. So just type a couple ideas you come up with. Let's say that you built an app to alleviate some of that stress. What could happen once someone logs into the app? What could happen? Like maybe someone could log in, they could access information, they could be able to organize data, they could be able to see traffic predictions, they could be able to plan out projects. Let me know in the chat what's something that they can do. Jeremy says online training. Got it. Troubleshooting and coaching employees. That's one thing that it could do. It could help you coach employees, give you a framework for how to coach employees. Yeah, what are some things it can do? Organize objects. Got it. James says, ooh, I'm on to something. Got it. Good. I hope this is sparking some ideas for you. They can make purchases of your products. They could see your program ideas. They could find jobs. They could set reminders. They could see items that can be found in different areas of the store. They could capture potential clients. Yeah, they could receive tutorials. Exactly. I could show them how to save money on daily expenses. Yes, exactly. Create a storytime lesson plan. Yes. Now, am I saying that you have to build this app idea that we're talking about? No, I'm not saying that. But I just want to show you a process that you can walk through in order to spark ideas that you are already an expert of. You already know all about this industry and how it works and how it goes, right? So you already are a step ahead. You don't have to build this app idea or something around what you do for work, but this gives you an idea of how you can use this formula to come up with awesome ideas. Let me give you one more example. This is Carlos Rivera. Carlos is another entrepreneur that I have had the pleasure of coaching. And so when I sat down with Carlos, I asked him some similar questions, slightly different, but I want to show you this slightly different version of these questions so you can ask yourself as well. So the first thing that I asked Carlos was I was like, hey, Carlos, what is one thing you like to do in your free time? One thing you like to do in your free time. And Carlos thought about it and he was like, I like to play basketball. I was like, okay, great, let's take it. So then I asked him a second question and I said, okay, Carlos, I know you like to play basketball. What is one thing that is hard or time consuming about that hobby? And Carlos thought about it and he was like, well, figuring out which courts are available when I want to play, that's kind of annoying because sometimes I go to a court and it's completely full, it's not available, I have to wait a long time, then I have to go to work so I don't have time to play, all those things, right? So figuring out which courts are available is one thing that is hard or time consuming about that hobby. And as I'm going through this example, if you want, you can tell me what you do in your free time, like Courtney says, thrifting or garage sales. Got it. Yeah. And then I asked Carlos one last thing and I said, okay, let's say that you built an app to alleviate some of that stress. What could happen once someone logged in? And again, he hadn't thought about this before, but he just sat down to think about it. And he said, well, I could let gyms use it and gyms could let their members log in. And then the people who are members of the gym, they can see which courts are free and they can book the court in advance. And then I could take this app and sell it to different gyms and put the gym's branding on it to kind of let the gym take credit for it, right? And this is a true story again. Carlos built an app for gyms to let them book basketball courts. His first customer who signed on board with him was the YMCA. And the YMCA said, we want to try this at one of our locations to test it out. And if we like it, we'll put it at a lot more of our locations in the city. Carlos charged that one location, for one location, $300 a month as a recurring subscription. And he did all of this in 4 weeks, like came up with the idea, built the app, built a marketing strategy around it, and signed on the YMCA in 4 weeks. 4 weeks. So that is another way that the SMART idea formula can work. You can also do it for your hobbies. So you might be thinking like, hey, Tara, I have an idea for an app. I want to build an app, but am I qualified enough to actually build one? And the answer is absolutely yes. You can use the SMART idea formula to spark ideas for yourself, to think about what are the challenges, the things that people have a hard time with that I already know about that I can build a solution around. So I wanted to throw that to you as kind of a primer in this workshop to get you to understand how you can come up with a strong app idea, 15 minutes. I think we did it in 10 to kind of get through some of this stuff. Make sense? Cindy says, wow, I love it. So that is secret number one, how to come up with a strong app idea in 15 minutes. Now, Baba says in the chat, what about the code? Well, how do I actually build it? So we're going to talk about that as the next secret, Baba. You're right on time. That is secret number 2, how to build an app yourself without any tech people. Because once you come up with an idea or an idea you think might work, you actually have to be able to build the doggone thing, right? Okay, so secret number 2, how to build an app yourself without any tech people. You guys ready to move on? Let me know in the chat if you're ready to move on to secret number 2. Cool. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. All right, so here's the thing. Most people, when they come up with an idea for an app, they think that the first thing that they need to do, they're like, okay, I have an idea. I know what I need to do. I need to hire an expensive agency to help me build the first version of my app, right? Anyone thought that before? Like you thought the first thing that you needed to do was hire an expensive agency to help you build the first version? There's nothing wrong with taking this route. The only challenge is that on average, it's gonna cost about $20,000 to start for you to build your app idea. And I don't know about you, but when I was getting started, I didn't just have $20,000 lying around to hire someone to build my app, right? Yeah, some people are saying, yes, I know about this. Yeah, got it. This is how a lot of people first approach it. Now, other people say, well, I don't really want to hire someone. I don't think I need to do that. So instead, what I need to do is I need to find a tech-savvy business partner who can help me. Okay, Brianna says, yes, I actually tried this route and I paid them $15,000. Yeah, about 20 is where it looks. Yeah. Amicia says, I looked at the prices and I immediately changed my mind. Yeah, it's expensive. It really is. It is. Gayla says that, yes, I even met with an expensive agency. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anthony says I was quoted $28,000. Yeah, that's about the price range on average that you'll see. So other people are like, okay, I'm not going to go this route and hire an agency. Instead, I'm going to find a tech-savvy business partner, someone who can help me before I start, right? But the problem is that finding, like, you don't want to rush this process, because finding the right tech-savvy business partner is like finding the right person to, like, marry. In that, if you get it wrong, you guys are not the right match, you don't really have the same ideas for the business, it can really sink the whole company. So you don't want to rush this process, right? So there's nothing wrong with this approach, it just can easily go wrong, right? Now, another thing people often tell me is they're like, okay, I have an idea for an app, I know what I need to do, I need to teach myself the basics of how to code in order to build an app. Let me know in the chat if you've been teaching yourself the basics of how to code and you've been thinking about this. Again, absolutely nothing wrong with this approach. The only challenge is that it takes about 12 months for you to get proficient enough to actually build the level of complexity of app that you need, right? And I don't know about you, but when I was starting, I did not have 12 months to just sit around and wait before I could get started to learn something. Right. Brandon says, girl, yes, I tried this. Randall says, I've been learning baby steps, parts for the language. Yeah, it just takes a while for you to get good enough to build the actual vision that you have, right? And so what ends up happening is because of all of this, most people completely put their app idea on the back burner. Bernard says, I know how to code, but I hate coding. So most people completely put their app idea on the back burner. They're like, this is impossible. It's not possible. I'm not a tech person. So I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And they let someone else take the idea, right? Like, this is what most people's journey is, right? They decide, like, I can't do it. I'm not a tech person. I'm gonna move on. But actually, you don't have to do any of those things that I just mentioned. You don't have to do any of them. You don't. Instead, you can create apps by using code-free software. Code-free software. Let me show you what I mean by that. So code-free tools or code-free software let you design apps by dragging, dropping, pointing, and clicking, just like you would design a PowerPoint presentation, right? And then you logically tell the app what to do in English, not in some other coding language that you have to learn, but in English, which you already know. You already know English. You don't have to learn anything there. So you design the app by drag, drop, point, click. You put everything on the page, just like a PowerPoint presentation. And then you logically tell the app what to do in English. Now, a logic statement, Baba says, what? I love that. Now, the logic statement is the thing that tells the app what to do. A logic statement is the thing that tells the app what to do. Let me give you an example of a logic statement that you already understand. Right? Let me give you an example. If I push the first domino, then the other dominoes will fall, right? If this, then that. Really simple. There's nothing confusing about this sentence. If I push the first domino, then the other domino will fall. Let me give you another example. If the user clicks the button, then log them in, right? If this, then that. Really simple. Randall says, if then. Exactly. Exactly. So my tip for you is to find logic-based software to build your app. There are a ton of logic-based software tools that you can use to build your app. You don't have to use all of them. You just have to choose the right one or two that are right for the kind of app that you want to build. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to walk you through some examples of logic-based software that you can use for your app. I'm going to start with some beginning examples, and then we'll get fancier along the way. Sound good? Yeah. Jonna says, like we build websites now. Yes, very similar. It's going to be a little bit more complex because it's an app with more intricacies, but very similar. Yes, very similar. Okay, so let me jump into some of these examples of logic-based software you can use for your app. Now, the first example I want to talk to you about, the first tool you can use is called Wix. Now, most people think about Wix for creating websites. However, you can also use Wix to create a login portal for your customers. So people log in with their username and their password and enter the inside of your app. For example, you can create a Yelp-like ratings and review system where people can tell you what they thought about the cocktail bar that they went to. Or you can create a flight booking system, kind of like where you see on the screen where people choose their flight dates. They say they want a window seat or an aisle seat, and it books the flight for them. So Wix allows you to have these member login apps where people log in with their username and password and enter the inside of your app. And so Wix.com is one of the tools you can use to create your own app. AppSheet is another really cool tool that you can use, AppSheet. And as you can see, the names of the tools are in the bottom corner if you want to see them again. So AppSheet is another tool. What AppSheet does is it allows you to take a spreadsheet of information. Anyone like Excel or spreadsheets in here? Let me know if you like Excel in the chat. You take a spreadsheet of information and AppSheet instantly turns it into an app. So you can visualize images, you can show locations and map plots in between locations. People can type things in and sign for things. You can graph data and charts and data and visualize all sorts of things like that, right? So AppSheet allows you to create your own app. All you have to do is start with a spreadsheet and it instantly turns it into an app for you. Yeah, I see some folks in the chat who like spreadsheets, so this may be a good tool for you to use. Mighty Networks is another really cool tool you can use to create your app. Now, Mighty Networks allows you to create your own social network app. So everyone gets their own profile. People can like each other and follow each other. There is a feed of information and people posting things. People can do polls and start different rooms and discussions. So Mighty Networks allows you to create your own social network app without writing any code. And this social network app can be on Android, or it can be on iOS, Apple devices, or it can be on the web, right? ShareTribe is another really cool tool you can use to create your own app. Now, ShareTribe allows you to create your own marketplace app. What do I mean by a marketplace app? Well, a marketplace app is where people buy and sell things from each other, right? So think like Airbnb is a marketplace app. There's people who are renting, people who want to rent, and they kind of exchange. You can kind of see in the bottom corner what this looks like. There's a bunch of different listings and people can buy and sell from each other, right? So ShareTribe allows you to create your own marketplace app. Thinkific allows you to create your own education app. So if you have an app where there needs to be videos and lessons and tutorials and quizzes and all sorts of things like that, Thinkific allows you to create your own education app. Motion AI allows you to create artificial intelligence chatbots without writing any code. Stencil allows you to create video games without writing any code. And again, these video games can be put on iPhone, iPad, Android, Windows, or on the web, etc. Here's an example of a video game that was created by someone just like me and you, who had absolutely no idea how to code, but had a cool idea for a game. So I want to take a second and just welcome you to the future. That's where we are right now. Because myself and a lot of other people in this industry, what we now know is that by 2025, most software won't be made by coders, but instead by people from diverse backgrounds like me and you using logic. Because in order to build apps today, you no longer need to be a software developer or use HTML or CSS or JavaScript, Perl, PHP, Python, any of those coding languages. In fact, you don't even need to write a single line of code. So again, welcome to the future that you are in, where there are tools out there, tons of tools. I only showed you some of them. There are tons of tools out there to allow you to create your own app without any code. Cool? So you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, Tara, I don't have time to build an app myself. I don't have time to do it myself. But here's the thing. Let me show you something. I want to introduce you to Charisse. Charisse is another entrepreneur I've had the pleasure of coaching. Now, Charisse is an author. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about authors. I love authors. But authors are not known for being the world's best app engineers, right? They just do something else. They have a different skill set. But Charisse built a really cool online social platform for sci-fi and comic fans, right? Now, Charisse built an app. I worked with her to build her app, and she was a finalist on a TV show called Planet of the Apps. It has Gary Vaynerchuk, Jessica Alba, Gwyneth Paltrow, Will.i.am, etc. And it works kind of like Shark Tank, right? And so Charisse says, I got a professional developer and spent 9 months and almost $9,000 to get practically nothing. After using Tara's Apps Without Code system, within 2 hours, though, I had built the first model of my app myself. right? So reality check, it does not take much time if you use a proven system. For Charisse, she spent 9 months trying to hire people struggling, and then with 2 hours, she'd built the first model of her app herself using the system, right? So it doesn't take a lot of time to use a proven system. If you're out there trying to figure it out on your own, okay, yeah, it takes some time. But if you've got a system that you're using, it does not. So that is secret number 2, how to build an app yourself without any tech people. Cool? Make sense? Okay. All right. Can we move on to secret number 3? Let me know if you're ready to move on to secret number 3. I have one more secret to share with you. Let me know if you are ready. She says, I'm in love. I love it. Good. I'm glad this is helpful. So, secret number 3 is how to charge $50 a month or more for your app idea. Because here's the thing. Most people assume that their app idea needs to be free or 99 cents. Free or 99 cents. Anyone here kind of like thinking that their app is probably going to need to be free or 99 cents? Here's the thing. If you do that, you will be broke for the first few years, because we can easily do the math. You need a lot of 99 cents to pay your bills. You just do. You need a lot of 99 cents to collect one at a time to pay your bills. So don't do that to yourself. Don't do it. So reality check here, another reality check. Your app should not be free or 99 cents. It just shouldn't, because you'll be broke. So I want to give you a couple ways to reimagine what you're thinking about. And BC says, I don't want to be broke. I love it. I don't want you to be broke either. So I want you to kind of think, I'm going to give you a couple ways to reimagine the way that you can charge for your app. A couple ideas and ways to kind of shift your thought on this. So the first thing I want you to think about are, who are the fast lane customers with disposable income that you can target? Who are the fast lane customers with disposable income that you can target? Let me tell you what I mean by that. So first of all, I said fast lane customers. Let me first break that down. For everyone's business, your customers fall in one of 3 lanes. One of 3 lanes. Some customers are going to be in the slow lane. These people are people where if you sit down with them and you talk to them and you explain to them why your app idea is a great idea, and you really kind of explain to them why they need it, they'll eventually get it, right? They're a little slow, but they'll eventually get it. These are people in the slow lane, right? Then you've got people on the sidewalk. This is like my grandma. No matter what you tell her, she's just like, she's not going to use your app. She's not using the app. And we all know people who are just like, they're not going to use the new cool thing. They're just not going to do it, right? Those are people on the sidewalk. They're not even in the road. They're on the sidewalk. And then you have people who are in the fast lane. These are people where yesterday they were just Googling, trying to find a solution to their problem. And they were complaining to their friends regularly, saying, I wish someone would just launch a company that would solve this for me, right? Those are the people in this fast lane. They already know they have a problem and they're looking for you. You want to go after fast lane customers and focus exclusively to start on fast lane customers only. And specifically, you want to focus on fast lane customers who have some disposable income, not the ones that are broke, but have a little bit of money to spend. So let's say, hypothetically, that you have an idea for an app that helps you track groceries, let's say, right? So what you could do is you could target the everyday person. Right? You can target the everyday person, but the problem is that the everyday person is kind of strapped for cash. So they probably are only going to pay you like $1.99 for the app, right? But an alternative is to target a fast lane customer with disposable income. For example, you could target recent graduates of business school or law school, because those people, they're very likely they're ordering Uber Eats every night, and they're paying $5 per delivery, and they're completely fine paying $5 for every delivery. They have no complaints about it, right? They just landed in this cushy new job, this legal job, or this new business school job, post-business school job, and they're just fine with that. They also use things like Instacart for their groceries, and they pay $150 a year to have their groceries delivered to them, and they have no problem with this, no complaints spending this money, right? You could target those people because they're fast lane customers with disposable income. So my question for you is, what ideas does this spark for you? Who are the fast lane customers with disposable income that you can target? Because they're going to be more likely to be willing to pay something like $50 a month for your experience that you're creating. right? So I want to kind of hear from you. What is this like? Does this spark any ideas for you? Does it give you anything that's possible for your app? Who are the fast lane customers for you? Cool. Now I mentioned that there are two things that I wanted to show you. So the first thing is who the fast lane customers with disposable income. The second thing I want you to think about in terms of how you can charge for your app is I want you to think about the idea of white labeling the app for a business who will pay you and be your customer. Now let me tell you and break down what I mean by that. So what white labeling means is that you design the app, then you take your logo off the app, and you put your client, the company, you put their logo on it, right? So this is a model where you would go after businesses as your customers, and you would take your logo off the app and put their logo on it, and then charge them a lot of money to take credit for it, right? Charge them a lot of money to take credit for it. That's what white labeling means. So remember I told you about Josh, who built a music app, an app to teach music classes, right? So Josh, at first, when he sat down, the first thing was he assumed he should charge parents for the app because it was going to be for students and parents were going to pay for it. And he thought, okay, I could probably charge $4.99 a month for a subscription to the music app, right? That was his first thought. But then he asked himself, well, wait a minute, what companies or organizations would want their own version of this app, right? He was thinking about it and brainstorming, and he thought about it, and he realized the schools would. These schools that teach music classes, they would probably like to have their own version of the app. So he decided to charge schools instead of the individual parents. And he did a white labeling model. So he put the school's logo on the app. And that allowed him to charge $5,000 plus contracts at a time, right? So he went from $5 a month subscription to $5,000 contracts. Big difference, right? So what ideas does it spark for you? What are the kinds of organizations or businesses who would be interested in having their own version of your app? Because you can take that approach in order to white label it, to sell it to those businesses. And you, by the way, there's no limit to the number of people you can white label it to. You can white label to 100 different customers, 500 different customers. There's no limit on that, right? Cool. Awesome. So that is secret number 3, how to charge $50 a month for your app idea. You want to go after fast lane customers with disposable income, or you want to think about who are the businesses or organizations that would want to have their own version of the app, and you can white label it. Cool. Let me check in with you guys. How are you doing over here? Are you learning stuff? Is this helpful? Let me know in the chat if you were learning stuff and this is helpful thus far. I just want to check in before we move on. Let me know in the chat if this is helpful and if you were learning some stuff. Brianna says, go Josh. Got it. Bill says, awesome, dope. I love it. Yeah, let me know if this is helpful if you're learning some stuff. Cool. Anthony says, got it. Okay, good. Alicia says, yes. Rodney says, absolutely. Katie says, helpful and thinking of ideas. Bill says, you were great. Oh, I'm glad. Cool. Sam says, I'm loving it. Perfect. Good. I am glad this is so helpful. JT says, I'm learning a lot. Can you be my mentor? Awesome. This is helpful. I have a bunch of additional questions. Oh my gosh, I just came up with an idea. Rose says, good. Okay, great. Awesome. So I want to talk to you. Brianna says, you're preaching, Tara. I learned so much. I'm so glad. So here's a quick recap of what you learned thus far. Secret number 1, how to come up with a strong app idea in 15 minutes. I gave you a framework, that SMART app idea formula you can use to come up with a strong idea. Secret number 2, how to build an app yourself without any tech people, right? Without having all the weight of having to hire people, then hire them again and all that stuff. And then secret number 3, how to charge $50 a month or more for your app idea. So let me know in the chat, who's learning stuff and wants to take some of the stuff they're learning. Ashley says, I'm taking lots of notes. You want to take what you're learning and actually apply it to your business. Actually take this to the next level and implement some of the stuff you learned this evening. Let me know in the chat if you want to take some of the stuff to the next level. Cool. Trey says, oh yeah, I love it. Awesome. Cool. Good. Good. So I want to talk to you about Apps Without Code Bootcamp, which is this really awesome program that I have put together. And really what it is an opportunity for you and I to work together for 2 months. Someone was asking, can you mentor me? This is an opportunity for us to work together on your specific app idea to bring it to life. So there's a bunch of things that you get as part of the program. You get personalized coaching. I put together a bunch of video tutorials that walk you through the entire process. And also you get access to this community that you need to start clarifying your app idea, build it, and to make money from it, right? So I have a question for you, and you can let me know the answer in the chat. But what if you could get my help and launch your app business in the next 60 days? Type "I'm in" into the chat if you would be in for that. You could get my help and launch your app business in the next 60 days, right? Or what if you could have weekly access to your own startup coach? Someone where if you're going a little bit to the left, you don't even know you're off track, your coach will be like, wait, turn right, and can get you back on course, right? Have weekly access to your own startup coach. I'm in into the chat if you'd be in for that. Or what if you could learn how to make your app a premium price point, something that's like $50 a month, so that you would only need, this is the math, you would only need 170 signups to make $100,000 this year. 170 signups to make $100,000 this year. Type "I'm in" to the chat to be in for that. Tashana says, "I'm ready to start now." Love it. So After That Code Bootcamp is all about helping you finally build that app idea that you have been stalling on. Because some of you guys have had your idea for weeks. Some of you guys have had it for months. It's just like, it's been too long. It just has, right? So it's about helping you finally get that app idea out there that you've been stalling on. And it's also about getting a high quality app without spending a ton of time or money or letting someone else take your idea and execute on it first because you took too doggone long, right? Some of you guys. So I want you to know that I'm opening enrollment for my winter and spring class, mainly my spring class that's coming up. And I want to walk you through the program so that you know how it works, right? So there are three main parts to it. Part one is the course. This is where I put all the stuff that I wish I knew, right? All the stuff I wish I knew. So step-by-step video lessons, tutorials, templates, app guides. This includes all the things you need along the journey. And all sorts of other things too, like for example, do I need to patent my idea? How do I handle the legal stuff? Actually, there are law firms that do free work for startups. So I show you how to, in this course as well, get those law firms to do free work and to get you all this protection and legal protection for free, which is really cool. So part one is the course, learn how to build the app, market the app, and there's all these templates and tutorials. And this is what it looks like once you get inside of the course. So there's a different module for every step of the journey that you need to pass through. And when you click on each module, you see a bunch of different lessons and tutorials that walk you through exactly what you need to do step by step, right? So it's a roadmap for you, right? So part one, kind of week one, is what we're going to focus on week by week. So week one, we're going to work on pricing your app. Like, how much should you charge? Is it $100? Is it 99 cents? Is it $50 a month? Like, how do you actually handle your pricing? That's what we're going to do in week one. Then on week two, we're going to start focusing on finding your customers. Because for a lot of you guys, there are a ton of different types of customers that you can go after. A lot of people would be interested in what you're building. However, there are a couple specific types of customers are the ones you should start with. So how we're going to find your perfect customers on week two. Week three, we're going to pre-sell your app. What do I mean by this? We're going to pre-sell your app. We're going to get people to pay for your app and pay to be a user before you're even finished building it. Why are we going to do that? Well, when you pre-sell your app, you are guaranteed you know that you're building the right things, right? So you know that you already have people waiting in line, already ready to go, and then you can build the app specifically for what they need. Right? It allows you to skip a lot of wasted time. So we're going to pre-sell your app in week three. Week four, we're going to work on your website and your brand. And then we're going to spend weeks 5, 6, 7, 8 actually building your app. Right? So that's part one, is the course. Part two is my second favorite part of the program. This is where you get access to the community. And what I mean by the community is this wolf pack of other successful entrepreneurs who support you. And let me tell you for a second why this is important. And actually, you've seen this a little bit. Most of you guys are around people where all they know and understand is the 9-to-5 lifestyle. Anyone around people where like all they can understand is a 9-to-5 lifestyle and they think you're kind of crazy for wanting to be an entrepreneur, right? They just like totally don't get it, right? I know a lot of you guys know about this. And one of the challenges for most entrepreneurs, and actually one of the reasons you have not yet been able to kind of get across some of these hurdles, is because most of the people you spend your time with have 9-to-5 jobs. They're not thinking like entrepreneurs. One of the first things you need to do to break that and to kind of get some of the success you need is to put yourself around other entrepreneurs. It just is. So here's an example of a post that was written in the apps.code community. Shara says, hey guys, I'm about 90% to my launchable MVP. That's the first fancy version of her app. How about you guys? I was thinking we could test out each other's apps in a working session before we actually go public to our audiences. Then we can troubleshoot on that call real time. Maybe we can do it Sunday hackathon style, right? So part 2 is the community, this wolf pack of other entrepreneurs to support you. And then finally, part 3 is my favorite part of the program. For me, this is why this program is really unique and really different. And this is where you get access to your own startup coach. So when you're kind of veering a little bit off the path, or you're wasting time on something you don't need to waste time on, or you're getting ready to spend money on something you don't need to spend money on, your startup coach can get you back on track, right? And you can use it to bounce ideas off of your coach, to get ideas, to help you walk through the process, right? So I want to show you a couple people who have gone through this program, just so you can get a sense of what's possible. This is Ashley. Ashley built an app for schools to hire athletic trainers. So if you have a school and you have a football team or a soccer team, there has to be an athletic trainer there on staff in order for, like in case something happens, right? So Ashley started with just an idea, right? Just an idea, that's all she had. Since doing boot camp, she now has 50 customers. She's done $3,000 in revenue, but she did all of that in 60 days. 60 days, from idea to app built, to customers in the door, to revenue made, 60 days. So this is what Ashley's app looks like. So if you run a school or a basketball team or a football team, you can come to the app, you can type in information about the game that you have coming up, the hours and how much you'll pay, and then her system matches you with an athletic trainer who can come be there available for your game, right? It's called Safe Play. And so Ashley says, I personally cannot function successfully without structure, even if that means it will cost me money. So from killing it in the gym with CrossFit to joining Apps.Code Bootcamp, I personally do much better when I have a set plan to follow, an accountability group to check in with. A set plan to follow and an accountability group to check in with. I know that this is I'm the same way, right? If I don't have a set plan to follow and an accountability group to check in with, I end up doing like all sorts of stuff that just like comes across my desk that I'm not even focused on. Like it just like it, I do stuff that's not critical and important. When you have a set plan to follow and an accountability group to check in with, you stay on track, right? I want to show you one more example. This is Brittany. Brittany built an app for pharmaceutical companies to report their drug side effects to the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration. So before doing boot camp, Brittany had spent $30,000 trying to hire other people to build her app for her, right? And she still had no app and no customers. When I met her, she was so frustrated about this. Now, after doing boot camp, she had a finished app. She had 2 large customers, but for her, these are $10,000 customers at a time, $10,000 contracts to use her app. So 2 large customers means $20,000 for her, right? So part 1 is the course, the video lessons, tutorials, templates, app guides that walk you through the entire process, the business part, the marketing part, and the app building part. Part 2 is the community, this wolf pack of other successful entrepreneurs who support you. And then part 3 is that you get your own startup coach. That's the structure of the program. And this bootcamp program is for a lot of different kinds of people. There's some people who maybe aren't a good fit, but let me tell you who it is a good fit for. It is a good fit for working professionals who are getting tired of having their income limited by a 9-to-5 job. Like, how come they get to say how much money you make? You can make more than that if you want to, right? It also works really well for existing entrepreneurs who want to add more tech savviness to their business, right? If you already have a company, but you want to add tech to it. It works really well for busy parents who want to work part-time on an app business so they can spend the rest of their time with their family, right? Actually have some real work-life balance. And it works super well for ambitious people who want to need to stop being stingy. This is a lot of you guys. Stop being stingy with your great app idea and bless the world with this idea. You've been stalling on it for months and years. It's time for other people to be able to use it, right? So when I talk to people, there are a bunch of reasons, really 3 main reasons why people are scared to get started, right? Like the first thing they tell me is like, hey, Tara, I'm scared it's going to take too much time to build the app. I got other things going on in my life. I just don't have time. And the second thing they say is like, I'm scared because it's going to take too much money. Like I know it takes something to launch a business. I'm worried about that. It's going to take money. And the third thing they tell me is like, I'm scared it's going to be too hard. I don't know what I'm doing and it's going to be too tough. But the thing is that when you have a coach, when you have your own startup coach, it doesn't take too much time because you know exactly what to do and you're not wasting time on stuff that's not even important, but you don't know it's not important. It doesn't take a lot of money because you were able to actually figure out what tools you need so you don't have to waste money on stuff. And it's not too hard because you have someone walking you through the process, right? So when you sign up for bootcamp, there's a couple core things that I mentioned you're going to get. There's 52 video lessons and templates and guides that you can walk through. You're also going to get 32 hours of live coaching with me. I'm going to be your coach. And you get access to the private Apps Without Code community. And to be clear, I often do this kind of training for companies in Silicon Valley. And when I go out there to help existing companies, I charge them $10,000. I'm not going to charge you $10,000. But when I do this kind of work with folks in companies, I usually charge them $10,000 in Silicon Valley. So there's Apps Without Code Bootcamp. But one of the things people often tell me or ask me is they're like, hey, Tara, I'm really excited about bootcamp. I really want to do the program, but I'm kind of worried because I don't have a bunch of money to spend, right? To like launch a business. Anyone in this boat where this is something you're thinking about? If you find yourself in this camp, I want to do something that's just going to make your life a little bit easier. So when you invest in bootcamp today, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to give you or to pay for your website costs for 3 months. So I recommend that in order to launch your website, I recommend you use Wix.com. You don't have to use Wix.com. If you already are using something else, that's fine. But I recommend you use Wix.com to launch your website. So when you invest in bootcamp today, I'm going to pay for 3 months of your website just so you don't have to worry about it, right? So with free immediate access to Wix, you can have your website set up by tomorrow afternoon. And then you're not Googling how to build a website. I need help. You're not begging your techie friends desperately. You're not wasting $20,000 on app developers to do it or website developers to do it. You're just getting up and running immediately, right? So there's Apps Without Code Bootcamp, which has all the lessons, tutorials, plus your own coach. And then I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months, right? Now, one other thing that people often tell me is they're like, hey, Tara, I'm really excited about bootcamp. I really want to do this, but I'm kind of worried because my app idea might be complicated. Like there's a lot of fancy things that I need my app to do, and I'm a little worried because my app idea might be complicated. Anyone thinking about this or kind of have some concerns about this, if your app idea might be complicated, you can let me know in the chat if this is something that's swirling through your head. So if you find yourself in this boat, I want to do something else to kind of make your life easier, right? And this thing is that when you invest in bootcamp today, the other thing I'm going to give you is my advanced app guide. Now, what is the advanced app guide? The advanced app guide is a guide for doing all the fancy stuff. So if you want to integrate APIs, like for example, you want to have music from iTunes be able to play inside of your app, or you need to pull different information into your app, the advanced app guide covers that. Or if you want to have a sophisticated database with a bunch of data about all your customers, the advanced app guide covers all of that, right? So the advanced app guide is for all the fancy stuff. That's what it's for. So to be clear, I used personally the advanced app guide to get my first $300,000 investment from investors, right? Josh, who I told you about the music app, he used the advanced app guide to make his first $30,000 in revenue. And Patrick, who I told you about, he built that app for Coca-Cola, or Coca-Cola was his first customer. He also used the advanced app guide. So the advanced app guide is literally just money for you to do all the fancy stuff. And you don't have to use it now. You can hold on to it and use it later if you want to as well. So there's Apps Without Code Bootcamp, all the lessons, tutorials, and your own coach. I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months, plus the advanced app guide for doing all the fancy stuff. Now, there's one final thing that people often tell me, like, hey, Tara, I'm really excited about doing bootcamp. I really want to do it, but I'm kind of concerned because I'm not a salesperson and I'm not a marketer. So I'm really excited about building the actual app itself, but I don't really know how to get people to come be customers or to do the marketing part. That part, I'm kind of worried about that. I'm not a marketer and I'm kind of worried, right? Anyone worried about the marketing part of building this app and launching an app business? Not just an app, but an app business? Let me know if this is something you're thinking about. So when you invest in bootcamp today, the last thing I'm going to do to kind of just make your life easier if you fall into this camp is when you invest in bootcamp today, I'm going to give you access to my 7-day email list builder. Now, what is a 7-day email list builder? The 7-day email list builder gives you all of my email marketing templates that you can use to find new customers, right? So you can use it for figuring out, well, what do I say in the subject line to the email to customers? What do I actually say in the email to customers? How do I even find people to email in the first doggone place? What do I say when they reply? This literally has templates for the entire process. So you can plug and play into your own business. So again, you're not Googling, trying to figure out how to do marketing for my app idea. You're not begging your marketing friend, and you're also not spending a bunch of money on Facebook ads, which you should not be doing yet, right? So there's After.Code Bootcamp. I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. There's the advanced app guide for doing all the fancy stuff, and the 7-day email builder for doing all the marketing stuff, right? So quick question for you. Quick question. If After.Code Bootcamp helped you create an app business where you could charge $50 a month for your app, so you would only need 170 customers to make $100,000 this year, would it be worth it? Let me know in the chat if it would be worth it. Or if After.Code Bootcamp helped you build an audience and a wait list of customers that are waiting down the road for you, ready to go, would it be worth it? Or if Bootcamp gave you weekly access to your own startup coach to help you through this journey that you could have weekly classes and check-ins with, would it be worth it? Yes. And if After.Code Bootcamp helped you not waste $10,000, $20,000 on developers or marketers because you were able to put this together and get started yourself, would it be worth it? Yes. Yes, it would. You would have a fully up and running functional business. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm opening enrollment for my spring class. It's open right now. Trey says, this is crazy. I love it. And I know some of you guys in the chat, I've seen a couple people say like, well, wait a minute. How much does bootcamp cost? I need to know how much bootcamp costs. Tell me about this. So for context, if you go and you hire someone to build an app for you, it is going to start at about $20,000 for them to do a good job, right? When I go out and do this training for folks in Silicon Valley, I charge them about $10,000 to do this work. However, I put together, and I'm really proud of this, I put together a really awesome program for you to do. The price for the program is $1,900, or you can split your payments up into 6 months of $380, 6 payments of $380 monthly, right? So those are your two options, $1,900, or you can split it up into 6 payments of $380 a month. Right? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put a link into the chat for you to check out Bootcamp and to get signed up and get enrolled. Let me put this link in here for you really quickly. And then I want to show you one more thing, and then I'm going to take a bunch of questions from everyone. So I just put the link in there. You can grab that, or you can just go to join.after.code.com. I'm going to put it in here. You can click on that link I gave you or go to join.after.code.com to enroll. So to clarify, just to be super clear, if you're wondering like, wait a minute, we talked about a lot today. What exactly am I going to be doing in Bootcamp? Okay, so the Bootcamp promises 2 things. One, the first promise is you're going to build the first version of your app. Duh, that's what the first thing we're going to be focused on. And 2, you're going to learn a clear process for getting your first 100+ customers. Those are the 2 focuses of Bootcamp, if you want to boil it down to really specifics. Cool. So, you know they say the early bird gets the worm? You've heard that before? I have a fast action bonus for you. And this fast action bonus, it expires in, I think it's more like 6 hours at midnight Pacific time. So there's 2 fast action bonuses for getting enrolled this evening. So, as I mentioned, the price for Bootcamp is $1,900, or you can split it up into 6 payments of $380. However, when you pay in full today, I have a bonus for you. And that bonus is a 10% discount on top of the price. So the price then goes from $1,900 and it changes to $1,710, right? Unfortunately, the discount only applies when you pay in full. It does not apply to the payment plan. But when you pay in full, you get this 10% discount on top of it. So there's After.Code Bootcamp. Then I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. Then there's the advanced app guide for doing all the fancy stuff, the 7-day email list builder for doing all the marketing stuff, plus a 10% discount on top of it all when you pay in full this evening. Well, and to be clear, I have a refund guarantee. I am all about people achieving financial freedom and time freedom. Like those are the things I'm passionate about, right? And so I want to see you get there. And so if you, for some reason, you do the work, you're not happy with the course after 7 days, you're not feeling like it's getting you closer to this plan for financial freedom and time freedom, I'm super, super happy to give you your money back. That's how it works. So some people often ask me like, well, wait a minute, how am I going to know in 7 days if it's going to work for me? Like how am I going to know after 7 days? And one of the things you should know is that in the first week of boot camp, the first thing we're going to do together is we're going to work for an entire weekend together. So we're going to look at the calendar and carve out an entire weekend to work together. And it'll be all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And so you're going to have about 16 hours of coaching in just the first week. And that'll really be enough for you to make your decision. Cool. So I mentioned there's 2 fast action bonuses. So let me tell you what the other one is. So when you pay in full today, you also are going to get a second bonus. And that is a 2-hour live session with me. Now, during this 2-hour live session, what we're going to do is we're going to set up your specific app business plan. So what we're going to do is we're going to implement the exact system that I personally use to launch apps, to get 200 plus people on the wait list, usually in the first month, and to make about $10,000 in the first month as well. So during this session, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to research your perfect customer profiles, like who's the perfect customer for you to go after. We're going to determine how much you should charge them. Is it $50? Is it 99 cents? Probably not. Is it $20? Is it $1,000? What's the best price point? And we're going to outline your email and social media marketing plan. That's what we're going to do together in that 2-hour live session. So there's Apps.Code Bootcamp. I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. There's the advanced app guide for doing all the fancy stuff. The 7-day email list builder for doing all the marketing stuff, plus a 10% discount when you pay in full, and the live session with me when you pay in full as well as bonuses. Cool. All right. So, and if you want those bonuses, to get those bonuses when you enroll this evening for that fast action, you can type in the code FAST10 into that link I gave you. So go to join.apps.code.com or the link I gave you and type in FAST10 in order to get enrolled with those discounts. Cool. Okay, so what I would like to do is take questions from folks now. I'm going to pause for a moment. We talked for an hour about a bunch of things for you to actually tactically implement in your business. And what I'd like to do now is take questions from you. So what questions do you guys have about your business, about your app, etc.? For example, Hosea, can you tell me a little bit about what your app idea is? I know that you're thinking about if it's complicated. If you tell me a little bit about it, I can let you know, frankly, if it's too complicated or not. Cool. JT says, can a coach become a mentor? I know every founder needs a mentor too. Yeah, so one of the things that happens in bootcamp is alumni of the program, they actually are, they end up doing some mentorship for the people who are going through bootcamp to start. So that's totally an opportunity. Cool. Cool. Okay. Bill says, can we talk privately? So there will not be a ton of opportunities for us to talk privately unless you're in boot camp, but I would love if you could shoot a question at me now and I will answer it live and we'll talk through it and work through it now. Right? Cool. Okay. Cool. Other questions. Mr. Liddy says, how are you paying for any of our stuff, these bonuses, when we are paying you? Oh, great question. So actually, you're paying me way less than it costs to actually hire someone to actually build your app for you. So after that, in addition to that, I'm going to carve out some of that to pay some of your bills to make your life easier. I've really dedicated a lot of my time because for context, I run other businesses that I'm running. And I've carved out a really big chunk of my time to help give back and to support other people. And so for me, that's a really important thing to do, right? And so that's what this bootcamp program looks like for me. And so one of those things that I do is I can help people by kind of paying for some of their bills as well. Cool. Okay, Bill says, will this be fully scalable? Like if I need 1 million customers to sign up, will it be scalable, right? The answer is yes. There's actually no limit on the number of customers. You can have 20 million customers using your app without code and totally be just fine. Okay, Jose says music, communication, and chat app. Yes, so you can build a music app without code using these tactics. You can build a communication app, like people need to message each other, direct message, private message, group message, etc., and a chat as well. So yes, all 3 of those things are totally possible and not in the realm of too complicated. The kinds of things that are complicated would be like, if you wanted to, and actually you could do this without code, but this would be on the complicated end of what is possible without code. You know those like virtual reality headsets that people wear? If you wanted to build software for those virtual reality headsets, that's something that would be on the complicated end, but still possible. Right? Okay. What other questions do you have about bootcamp, about your app idea, all those things? Oh, Bill says, who does the source code belong to? Ooh, great question. So here's how it works. Let's say that it works kind of like this. Let's say that you're an author and you write books, right? And you go to Microsoft Word and you start writing your book, right? Microsoft does not own your book. You just happen to use their tool to write the book. So it works the same way with these tools. They do not own anything about your app. You just happen to use their tool to build it. Does that make sense? And Mr. Liddy had a question, is your app really without code? I think it might be nice if, Mr. Liddy, if you go back, I'm going to, maybe I can send you guys the replay after this. And you can go back and take a look at how the tools work that I walked you through in this workshop earlier, so you can kind of see how it works. Essentially what happens is you build the logic using English, and then the app creates the code for you that you don't even have to see and worry about, right? So that's how it works. You are not interfacing with any code. And that's actually the trend that we're seeing in this industry. That's how people are going to be building apps and technology moving forward. That's how it works. Cool. Okay, other questions. Edie says, how often do you open enrollment? Usually 2 times a year. Usually 2 times a year enrollment is open. Other questions. Back office or team support, or is that on the entrepreneur? So I think you mean like people helping you with your idea. Is that what you mean? I think that's what you mean. So there's a couple things that often happen. First of all, I'm going to, if you want help with it, I'm going to point you to some people who can help you, like if you want help building. But for the most part, if you use the framework that I teach, you won't need other people helping you until like you're about a year in. You can do most of this work on your own. And again, it's not a ton of work because I'm just carving out the stuff that's important for you to do, the stuff that's going to actually move the needle. So you're going to be focused on kind of like the actual support. Like for example, if a customer replies to you and says, I'm interested in this, it'll be your responsibility to reply to them and say, great, here's how much it costs, etc., kind of thing. Does that make sense? Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, JC says, I'm trying to build an app that can upload photos, videos, in a database. Yes, you can absolutely do that. Absolutely. Okay, and then Naeem says, what about a GPS tracker for apps? Do you teach about that? Yes. So a lot of the app tools that I teach will allow you to use GPS, like if you want to plot different locations on a map, or you need to show the directions and distance between things, something like that. Or match people based on their location, stuff like that is totally possible. Yeah, cool. One of the things that a friend of mine, and actually, hold on one second, my phone is going off. So there are a couple people who are actually enrolled already. Super excited to work with you. So I see Patrick, Jeannie, and Corey are signed up. Really excited to work with the 3 of you, Patrick, Jeannie, and Corey. For the 3 of you who just signed up, please tell me in the chat why you decided to sign up for bootcamp. Super excited to be working with you and would love to hear why you decided to sign up. Okay. A friend of mine, she was really telling me this and giving me this advice. I wanted to share this with you. She was telling me the difference between eagles and chickens. And what she was saying was that there was actually something I was being nervous about. I was nervous about booking a flight. I've been meaning to take this trip for a month to Spain. And I was being nervous about actually getting it done, for like moving, traveling for that period of time. She was like, I think that you are being a chicken right now, but really you're an eagle. The difference between chicken and eagles is that eagles can fly long distances. They're amazing. They've got lots of potential. They're majestic, all these things. But the problem is you think that you're a chicken. You don't know that you're an eagle sometimes. You believe that you are a chicken. And so you're kind of walking around, you're hanging out with other chickens, you are in a chicken costume, and you're wondering, what's going on? I know that I can do much more in my life. I knew I have more potential, but I don't understand how to get there, right? A lot of you guys are in this position now where you know that there's more for you, but you're just like not really sure how to get there, right? And the reality is that you are also an eagle, but you think that you're a chicken, or you're spending time with chickens, or you're living a chicken lifestyle, right? But you're actually an eagle. You actually are an eagle, right? This is a good advice that a friend gave me. I wanted to share with you. Okay, so again, you can click on this link to get enrolled, the link that I provided, or you can go to join.appster.code.com and type in the code FAST10. I know some of you guys are getting enrolled right now. So other questions that folks have, let's see here. Bill said, can I add a money exchanger? You mean like where people can exchange money with each other? Is that what you mean? Or like you want to calculate how much money, like a currency conversion? Which did you mean by that, Bill? Stan says, will there be a way that the app can be without Wi-Fi, or will it be required to have Wi-Fi? So for the most part, in order to access all of the functionality, your app will need some Wi-Fi. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Bill says, is it native-based, or is it web apps or native-based? So you get to choose. You can do all of the above. You can have a web app, a mobile web app, or a native app that's in the App Store. Cool. Okay. Could I Alicia says, can I sign up for bootcamp and create it months later due to other project commitments I have right now? Yes, absolutely. So what you can do is as soon as you sign up, and actually let me show you this. So I'll show you what the site looks like where you can get enrolled. What you can do is as soon as you finish enrolling, it's going to take you to a second page. And that second page is going to allow you, can you guys hear me? Am I frozen? Can you hear me? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. That second page is going to allow you to choose the date that you want to start with. So it'll have a calendar for you. So you can scroll down here. Here's where you put in the code FAST10 right here. It'll apply that discount for you. Give it a second. There it goes. And then also if you're looking for the payment plan, you can click right here to get to the payment plan. If you want to hear some stories of other entrepreneurs who have done this program, they're at the bottom of the page as well. Now, once you sign up, the next page that you will go to will be a calendar for you to choose from. And you can choose your start date for bootcamp. So you can just look at your own calendar, figure out what works well for you, and get enrolled. So although enrollment is going to close soon, you'll be able to choose the date that you want to start. Does that make sense? And make it work with your own schedule. Cool. In general, you should expect to spend about 7 hours a week on your company in bootcamp. So you can split that up and do 1 hour a day, or you can just binge it and do it on the weekend. I don't care what your work schedule looks like. You can create your own work schedule. Cool. Awesome. JT says, you are awesome. I promise I will meet you someday. Oh, awesome. JT, let's do it. Okay, cool. So Vinna says, I'm building an app that requires an email server, meaning that like you need to send emails as part of your app. If so, that's definitely something that you can do for sure. Okay, you can hear me. Good. Can your app be international as well? Somebody said this, I can't see your name. He said, can your app be international as well? Yes, definitely. Like I have folks who have 14 different countries are using the apps of all the entrepreneurs that I've worked with in 14 different countries. So it doesn't matter what country they're in. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Will you for sure be assigned to us as the coach? Yes. So at least for this winter spring class, yes, I will definitely be your coach. If you decide to sign up down the road, I may not be your coach as we grow, but at least for now, yes, definitely. Randall says, how long is the discount code active? And actually, before I answer that, I see a couple other people, Josiah and is it Satin? Is that how you pronounce your name? Josiah and Satin. Last name starts with a C. I saw that you guys both signed up. Super excited to be working with both of you. If you can let me know in the chat why you decided to sign up, that'd be awesome. After you finish enrolling and all that, come back and tell us why you decided to sign up. Okay. Okay, so the question was, Randall's question was, how long is this discount code active for? So the FAST10 discount code is active until midnight tonight. So at 11:59 Pacific time, PM, that fast discount code is going to go away. Then, if you need more time than that, the final deadline to enroll is on Sunday at midnight. But you won't have the discount code. You won't have the 2 bonuses, the discount and the 2-hour live session with me. However, you can still enroll. Brianna says, I cannot afford to pay in full. Can I pay for extra coaching down the line? So Brianna, if you want to do the payment plan, that's probably the best way for you to get started. So you can do that. And then there may be an opportunity to do extra coaching, but when you do the payment plan, you're still going to get the coaching. You're just not going to get the 10% discount, and you're not going to get the 2-hour live session with me. And the payment plan is a little bit more expensive. So those are the trade-offs, but you can totally do that and get enrolled now. Okay, so Bill says, I need 2 days. Yeah, that's okay. So enrollment closes on Sunday, so you have 2 days if you need some time. However, by Sunday, the Fast 10 discount won't be around, so you won't have access to that. Cool. And then Randall says, I work on weekends. Oh, bummer. So Randall, one thing that I think we can do is let's take a look at the calendar. And do you think that there'd be one weekend where you can reschedule some things? Is that possible for you if there's one weekend? Because there's only one weekend you need. You don't need multiple weekends. Cool. Okay. Cool. One of the things I really learned, I want to share this with you as you guys are getting enrolled or asking questions. If you think of another question, actually take a second and think about what questions do I have about my business, about boot camp, and ask them now so that I can help you and walk you through them. One of the things I've really been learning, and this just kind of like dawned on me a couple months ago, and that is that what's very clear is that top performers get coaches. If you look at top athletes, they have coaches. Olympians, they have coaches. Top executives, they have executive coaches. Pretty much everybody who's a top performer has a coach. That's how it works. And I learned this from my friend Danielle, who really showed this to me. Actors have coaches, athletes have coaches, executives have coaches. Pretty much everybody has a coach but you. And so what are the ways that you are going to be getting the coaching that you need to take you to the next level? I know for me and my own journey, having coaches meant like a world of difference. It meant I was not wafting around trying to figure everything out on my own. I had someone where I can go and ask specific questions to get specific help, to get perspective on things. Like having a coach made a huge difference. All right. So what other questions do you guys have? Bill says, can we interact with other students? Yeah, definitely. So as soon as you are joining boot camp, well, you'll get access to the private After That Code Facebook community. And that will allow you to chat and comment and coordinate with other people in your cohort. Exactly, in your cohort. That's exactly how it works. Cool. Okay, other questions. What other questions do you have? And by the way, if I missed your question, please retype it. It went fast into the chat, so I couldn't see it. Cool. What other questions do you have? Other questions do you have? Krista, I saw you just signed up. Krista, excited to work with you. Let me know in the chat why you decided to sign up. Excited to work with you, Krista. Okay, cool. What other questions do you have? Anyone else have questions? Naim says, do you only give this class online? Yes, absolutely. So this class only works online. There's not an in-person piece of the class. However, what happens inside of the class, your cohort and your group of other entrepreneurs, is that some people live in the same city and they will meet up to kind of do work and have an accountability group together. Yeah, cool. So Simon's asking a question, said, can you please repost the sites to build apps? Yeah, let me walk you through the list that I gave you off the top of my head. The first one I shared with you was Wix. The second one I shared with you was called AppSheet. The third one that I shared with you is called Mighty Networks. That one's for social network apps. The fourth one that I shared with you was called, what was the fourth one I shared with you? I can't remember. Let me go back and see what the fourth one was. Stencil. I also gave you Motion AI. We also talked about, I think those are the main ones that I shared with you. Cool. Share Tribe. Thank you. Share Tribe was the one I missed. Share Tribe. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Okay, cool. Brandon says, will you be sending out a replay? Yeah, can you give me until tomorrow? Because it takes some time for the video to process. So give me until tomorrow, and then I can send you the replay. Cool. I had a lot of decisions, by the way, when I was building this program for folks. Like, I had a decision to make it cheap, and I also had a decision to make it valuable. And I chose to focus on making it valuable, right? It's still an affordable program in that it's way less than the $20,000 you spend to hire someone. But my focus was really on making sure it was valuable so that you can take this and actually use it to implement a revenue generating app and business. Like, that's what's important to me, right? So I really wanted to lean on the side of making it valuable for you. Cool. Okay. Trey had a great question. Trey says, can you build more than one app? Yes, absolutely. So this is something that a lot of boot campers do. What they do is they focus on one app to start with. And actually in our first 2 days together, we'll focus in on which app of the multiple options you have, which one to focus on. So they focus on one to start. And then what they do is they come back and they do a second one, because the thing is, you have lifetime access to the boot camp. You have lifetime access. And on top of that, I have weekly classes. They're on Tuesdays. And those Tuesday classes are open to alumni. So you can come back at any time to ask a question, right? Anytime to ask a question. So that's how that works. And so I recommend you focus on one app idea first, but then you can take the second one and then do it again. And you don't have to pay anything extra to do that. Cool. So Naim says, so do we have until Sunday for the Fast 10 discount? No. So tonight is the deadline for the Fast 10 discount. And then Sunday is the deadline in general to enroll. So if you don't get enrolled now using the Fast 10 discount, the Fast 10 discount will go away, but you can still get enrolled, but you won't have the 10% discount and you won't have the 2-hour live session with me. So that Fast 10 discount expires midnight tonight. Well, I think, Randall, that answers your question too. Okay. Bill says, so that private label, the white label app, can it be downloaded? It's midnight Pacific time, Randall. So it gives you a little extra time if you're on Eastern time. So that private label app, can it be downloaded independent? Yes. So you can have a separate app that gets downloaded independently for that client. Yes. Jose says, what form should I use for my music app? So just so I understand, the main things are, what are the main things people need to do in your music app? That way I can give you the right tool. So answer that question for me really quickly, and then I'll get you the right tool based on your answer. Okay. Bill says, can we build one app and then copy it? Yes, absolutely. Inga says, are there types of apps you won't be able to help with? Or is there something too complicated that may need extra help? Can you please give me an example of one? Yeah. So the example I gave earlier, this is something it's possible for you to do, but I don't cover this in bootcamp. Is if you want to build, those like virtual reality or augmented reality headsets that people wear and they can like see a new world in them. If you want to build software for augmented reality headsets, that's one thing. It's possible. I just don't teach it as part of the program. And the second common thing that is like an issue that I don't teach, that I just am upfront about, is if you want to build an emoji app. Like, the app creates emojis that you can use in your keyboard on your phone. Those are the two things that end up being issues. Everything else we can pretty much do. Does that answer your question? Cool. And then Sunday, you were asking for the link again. Let me see if I can get you this link one more time. I just put it into the chat. And you can also go to join.appswithoutcode.com. Other questions. Lucas says, I need an investor and business partner. Lucas, I would actually question that. Here's the thing about taking on an investor. If you take on an investor early on in your business, you are going to give away some ownership of your business in exchange for that money. But here's the thing. Right now, you don't know what you have yet. You don't know how big this thing could be. And so what you have to do when you take on an investor is you have to decide now how much your company's worth. And in my opinion, it's too early for you to decide now how much your company's worth. It could blow up in the next 6 months, and then you actually undervalued it. So I really recommend that before you take on an investor, that you do something like bootcamp so that you can actually evaluate what you have here, get some traction with it. So that way, when you sit down in the meeting with the investor, you actually have some negotiation power. You can say, look at the customers that we have. Look at the app that we built. Look at the feedback we're getting. Don't you want to be part of this? You have some leverage at the table if you wait a little while and actually get going with it first. Yeah, cool. Randall says, watch an episode of Shark Tank first. I love it. Mama says, what do you do about the security of the app? Oh, this is a really great question. So what you want to do so actually a lot of the security is going to get handled. Here's how it's going to get handled. We're going to use, for the database of your app, we're going to use one of two things. But the most common thing we're going to use is called Amazon Web Services. And what it is it's a place for all of the data to get hosted for your app. Now, Amazon Web Services is the same exact tool that people use if they're going to build an app with code. And a lot of big companies use Amazon Web Services to host their data. So by using Amazon Web Services, we then allow Amazon to focus on the security of our data. And if you're processing payments as part of your app, we're going to use another tool. We're going to use either PayPal or Stripe to handle the processing of the payments and the security of the payments. So these are companies where their full-time job is to make sure your data is safe and to make sure that your payments are safe. And we're going to use those third-party tools to manage the security of your app, so it's not up to you to have perfect security. We're going to use these big industry leaders in order to do that. Does that answer your question? Cool. Trey says, what if someone does not have money to pay now but wants to join bootcamp this month? So the best thing I think you would want to do is sign up for the payment plan, because that would allow you to get started. It's a little bit more expensive, but would allow you to get started. Yeah, Randall's saying PayPal and Stripe are very reputable companies. Exactly. Yeah, they are. They are. Brianna says, do you have to patent our apps? Also, how do we obtain developer licenses to get our apps into the Google Play or iTunes store? Okay, let me answer one of those at a time. So first of all, do you have to patent your app? So I'm going to give you some semi-controversial advice on this. I'm not a lawyer. I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm giving you an entrepreneur perspective, having gone through launching several apps and what my experience is. I do not recommend that you patent your app or do any kind of legal protection of your app until you are about 8 months to a year in. Here's why. When you go into patent your app, you're going to have to put specifics about what exactly the app does and how exactly it's going to work. Right? You have to put specifics in. But in the first few months, you're going to be changing a lot. Like your customers are going to give you feedback and they're going to say, oh, I really love this, but could you do this slightly differently or could you change this? You're going to be getting feedback. And so if you lock yourself in and pay the legal fees and do all the legal work up front, and then you change it later, it's a pain in the ass, right? Excuse my language. So what you can do instead is get some establishment first and then go in to do your legal protection afterwards. That's my recommendation of how you do it in terms of timeline. And then how do we obtain developer licenses? So that's something we're going to work through in bootcamp. It's really easy. For Android, it's $25 one time to pay for your, it's like rent, to pay for the rent for your app to be in the Android Google Play App Store, right? For Google and for iTunes, for Apple, it's $99 per month, right? So they're different. Apple is more expensive. And so my goal for you is that before we even push it to the App Store, you have some paying customers on board who pay for those costs essentially for you, right? But that's how you do it. It's really easy. You just take your app and submit it to their store, and you pay their kind of rent fee in order to have it in the store. Cool. Clifford says, do you have the video available? I missed it. Yes. So what I'll do is tomorrow I can send you the replay in case you want to re-watch this. But what you should know is, because I'm not going to be able to send you the replay before the Fast 10 discount expires. So if you want to get enrolled now, you can use the Fast 10 discount. I will also tomorrow send you the replay, and then the final deadline is Sunday. I just want to kind of like, as we're starting to wrap up, I know a couple people have more questions. So if you still have a question, please type it into the chat. But I just want to highlight, oh wait, actually, hold on. Before I highlight this, I see a couple things. Angeline and Lawrence, super excited to have you on board. Let me know in the chat why you decided to sign up. Awesome. Cool. All right. So you get to choose, guys. You get to choose what your life looks like. If you want to be in the same pattern, and this is something I had to really like ask myself as I made this transition from like working a 9-to-5 job to being an entrepreneur. If you want to be in the same pattern of kind of having an income limited and having a structure that way and having a 9-to-5 job where you have to physically go there and be in person and do all those things and you're kind of confined to that, you can choose that. Or you can choose to have something else. And literally it is that easy. Now, is it scary to choose something else? Absolutely. Like one of the things as a coach that I really focus on is helping people manage the fear of transitioning, right? Because fear shows up in a lot of ways. It shows up like, oh, I don't know if my idea is good enough. Like, I don't even know if I'm ready for a coach yet. Like, it shows up in a lot of different ways. And so one of the things that's my focus to do is help make sure that you're managing your own fear, because managing this part, right? Like the voice on your shoulder that's saying, like, I don't know if it's going to be good enough. I don't know if this is going to work. Managing that is a huge part of entrepreneurship. And so for me, in order to be a holistic coach, we've got to talk about those things too. But I just want to be clear that you get to choose. It may be a hard choice, but you get to choose what your life looks like. You do. Okay, more questions. Alicia says, will you be available to coach in June or July? I will be able to coach in June or July, but you want to get signed up now because classes get filled up pretty quickly. So the next class that I have starts in a couple weeks. But that class starts early April, but that class is almost completely full. So if you want to be working with me in June or July, you want to get in now so you can reserve your seat. Cool. JT says, do you teach us about how to have the right content? You mean marketing content or content inside of your app? Which did you mean? Cool. Answer that question for me and then I can get you more clarity. Is it Jonah? Jonah, am I saying your name right? Jonah? What if you don't feel like you're ready for a coach right now? No solid idea. As long as you have little pieces of a potential idea, then you're ready for a coach. Because what we're going to do in our first 2 days together is we're going to work on locking down the details of your idea. Like I've allotted 2 days, full days for just thinking through and actually planning out your plan for the idea. And that'll be the first thing we do together in boot camp. So I'm going to help you through that. You do not have to start boot camp with like a perfectly polished plan and everything figured out. In fact, it's actually better if you start without that because then you don't have to undo and redo stuff. Okay. Marketing, yeah. So I'm going to be walking you through some really cool like content marketing strategies for you to use as part of the marketing part of boot camp. Yes. Yes. Cool. Okay. Oh, Jose says they would need to play their instrument through it. So I think what I'm hearing you say is like, if I have a guitar, someone needs to be able to click on the app and the guitar physically plays. Is that what you mean? Maybe I didn't understand that, but I just want to make sure I'm very clear on what you mean by this. Sherelle says, can my spouse use my membership as well? Oh, we both have app ideas. So Sherelle, yes, that's a great question. So the general answer is yes, but here's how it works. So you guys want to work on, because we have live classes with your coach, right? So you guys will not be able to each join and be in class with 2 different app ideas. If you want to do it for 2 different app ideas, you need to pay separately. However, if you guys are working as a team, you guys can both join. So does that make sense? And then you'll have access to the online platform that you can use, unlimited. You'll get lifetime access to that. But in terms of the classes you attend, one of you should be kind of the main representative, but you can work together on that. Cool. Inga says, is there any a la carte options for someone who may not need the whole course? Also, I may have missed it, but do you teach us how to get investors or funding if it's needed? P.S. I'm a huge fan of yours. You're such an inspiration. Oh, thank you. So let me answer those questions one at a time. One, there's not an a la carte option, unfortunately. What I find is that, like, this is not a beginner's course and that, like, it's for people who don't know, like, what they're doing or they're going to be slow. Like, we move pretty quickly. We're going to move robustly through everything, but we're going to move pretty quickly. So there are people who do the program who have already made their first almost $100,000 with their app idea that do the program anyway. So you're not going to jump in the program and be like, oh, I'm way ahead of everybody. That's unlikely to happen. We are going to talk about investors and funding. Yes, we're definitely going to talk about that. We're going to talk about when is the right time for you to go after that. what sites and people you need to use to meet in order to get investors and funding. And also, my goal is to set you up with a business where investors and funding is a nice to have, but not a requirement. So what I mean by that is you will have a choice because you'll be making money from the business. So you will have a choice on whether or not you want to give someone a piece of your company, some ownership of your company, or you want to keep it all for yourself. You'll have a choice of that. Cool. Okay, awesome. Randall says lifetime access. Wow, yeah, absolutely. You're not going to get like cut off from the program once it's done. And as an alumni, you can come back to weekly classes and get your questions answered. Cool. Awesome. Sean, I see you signed up for bootcamp. Super excited to work with you, Sean. Let me know in the chat why you decided to sign up. Awesome. Okay. Other questions. Nikki, for the business app idea, should we register the business name now or later once bootcamp is complete? So I don't think you should do it now. I think you should do the first 2 days of bootcamp first and then register. And when I say register, I mean like buy the domain for your website. I don't mean like register it with the state. I think you can do, right? You want to register with the state once you've made your first revenue, the first few customers, but you can buy the domain after the first weekend of bootcamp because the first 2 days, some things might change that may possibly impact your name. Maybe not, but may possibly. So I would do that after day 2. Cool. Great question. Awesome. Okay. Any other questions that folks have? I want to answer questions before we wrap up. Any other questions? I'll give you a second to think about other questions that you might have. One of the things that I really love about bootcamp is like we focus on the app and the app business. The app and the app business. So if you just use bootcamp to learn how to build the app, if you only did that, it would totally be worth it. But we're not only going to focus on the app, but we're also going to focus on the app business, the business around it, so that it's actually generating revenue for you. But if you only got the value of just building the app, it would be worth it on its own. It costs $20,000 to do that. Okay. All right. So just as a quick reminder, the Fast 10 discount expires this evening. So if you want to get enrolled in bootcamp with a 10% discount plus the 2-hour live session with me, you want to get enrolled this evening. That expires on midnight Pacific time. Also, after that, if you need a little bit more time, the deadline is on Sunday. I'm super excited to be working with a lot of you guys. If you have any questions, please send me an email. Please send me an email. So to do that, all you need to do is just reply to my last email to you that comes directly to me. Just reply to that email. And I would love for you to do one of two things. You can reply and just give me feedback. Like, tell me what you thought about this workshop, right? I would love to hear your feedback. And then also, if you have another question that pops up or you didn't get it answered, please ask me via email so that I can get your question answered. Cool. Naim says, do you guys make apps about booking things like hotels.com? Yes. So that'll be one of the kinds of apps we'll teach you how to build so people can book and rent and do things like that from each other. Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, cool. Any additional questions, please send me an email. Just reply to my last email to you. And I'm excited to see a lot of you guys in bootcamp, and we will get going on your app idea, building it, generating revenue, and I would love to coach you. All right. Have a good evening. Bye, guys.